none of this other stuff. So cheers. Welcome to Today in the Shop on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. By the way, it's cold out here. No idea. There's a thing I can do. Actually, I can just hold up my hand like I need to talk. It is Tuesday, and I love it when my friends call me on Tuesday because they have no idea that I actually do a podcast show. Oh, now hold on. Can I interrupt your call to take a call from my wife? I'll call you back. Maybe.
Okay.
No, wait. No, she must have got the message. She hung up. Uh-oh. My camera may have died. Boy, this is bad. Can't do that. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday live from the shop, and you're wondering how we do this? No idea. I literally have no idea. But I will tell you that this is the new version of what we've got going. So I will tell you a couple things about what we got going. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, today in the shop version. And this is the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related products. Let us know how it works, because we got like a little bit of new technology and a really dum-dum running the whole thing, which is yours truly. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I am a lifelong motorcycle addict. I'm serving my life behind bars. Washed up racer, washed up media guy, washed up everything. But I am just out here doing some stuff. So you're getting to see the shop right now. So this is live from the shop. This is my personal shop. I'll wave at you over here. You can see me, but I'm underneath George's head right now. So what we're going to start doing with this particular show, how we're going to work this show, is when we don't have guests, when I don't have live guests in the house, I'm going to move the damn show out to the shop and I'm going to do stuff. I'm going to work on things, get my fingers greasy, do all the usual stuff like I do behind the desk. But here I can answer your questions pretty much. If you have a question about something, more than likely I can go grab something or show you how to do it. And so tonight is going to be this way. So you guys, the viewers, all 26 million of you right now. By the way, I'd like to thank my sponsors, which if you're looking, I got to figure out how. So if you're looking at the new screen right there. So the sponsors of the show are flashing up on this thing, and you can ask questions in the chat. So I'm going to turn that off now so I don't have to talk about that anymore. Okay, so it's backwards for me, by the way. You can ask questions in the chat, and I will answer those questions. And Mark Daniels, a true, like, you should have a special badge. I got something for you. Hold on a second. Let's see how this thing works here. We'll go to this one here. It should follow me, this guy. Okay, we're here. And it's supposed to follow my hand. It's going to come right over here. Mark Daniels, check this out. So this just happened to be in the shop. Tonight we're going to drink whiskey because nothing's going to change. Addictivo whiskey. This is whiskey actually made by a tequila maker. So there we go. I'll move back over to the thing here. And so this is kind of technology I've been working on for a little while now, trying to figure out how to be able to do sort of a show that I don't have to have a stupid producer. Although if you want to be a producer and you don't want to make any money in the motorcycle industry, you're just super stoked on learning how to do some of this stuff, hit me up. You can be a producer. We call them a filmer. You can follow me around with a camera, and that way I don't have to rely on technology because, you know, me and technology, we don't exactly get along. Actually, it's following my left hand. Watch this. Look at this. It's like magic. So me and technology, we had a little get together. We talked about it, but that deserves something that I call a shot. So I'll have a little Addictivo here. And this, by the way, it's better if I do this. This is the heaviest shot glass known to man. This can break things and hurt you. So this is why I keep it in places where I'm not going to bump into somebody. But if you listen here, yeah, that's a shot glass. So pour a little Addictivo. Be pretty good. It's a sipping whiskey, by the way. None of this other stuff. So cheers. Welcome to Today in the Shop on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. By the way, it's cold out here. So that's where we're at. We'll kind of get into this. Move the camera angle over here. That's a great product, says Mark. So exactly. And we have, so here's the options you have tonight on this show. I can do, as you see in my background, I have my National Hare and Hound Vet Pro podium bike, the Yamaha WR450 in the background. It needs a little bit of a service. I raced it. I washed it. I did a little video someplace that's on the internet that you can watch. I don't know where it went. I put it up there someplace. It might be on the grams. I don't know. That bike, we did a little something with, talked about what I've done to it. And I can do a service on it. Or, and this is a big or, because I got the time tonight, I can do the top end on my KTM300 because it is, oh, it didn't look like simping, did it, James? No, hold on. I could, oh, there's a lot more. It feels like there's a lot more because this is a very heavy shot glass, but I only poured a little bit in and then I did a little bit of sipping. But first of all, this show would not be possible without the help of our sponsors. We do have sponsors. The main one is, of course, Yamaha. Yamaha has been bringing you Tech Talk Taco Tuesday and all the dirt bike test content for well over 2 years now. We really appreciate their support and help. I don't know this, but I think Yamaha has some big things coming. They don't even tell me. They just sponsor our show and help us out with a lot of stuff. I actually switched over. I went from riding KTM adventure bikes to the Yamaha Tenere because I liked it. Yamaha followed me on this. And now I'm riding WRs when I race, or YZ 125. I always raced a YZ 125 when I raced. So those are things. Fast Company, Flex handlebars, they're on all my bikes. Scott's Performance, they make steering stabilizers and all kinds of cool stuff. Actually, if you need products and you need really good customer service, like call up Steve at Scott's. Just call up, ask for Steve. He'll dial you in. And how do I know this kind of stuff? Because I've been doing it for a long time. Of course, our original sponsor, DDC. And then if you notice, anytime I'm wearing gear, if I'm riding for myself and not being paid to go do photos for somebody, I am riding in Climb. And let me tell you, right now we got such varied conditions out here. The Climb mid layers and combined with the right kind of Climb outer layers, the stuff you see, is crucial to just being able to have fun and ride. So anyways, James, I'm going to have the rest of my sip, or there's probably 2 more sips in here. But thanks for noticing. Let's see. It's too late for a top end rebuild. Flynn, you don't know me that well. And Tony goes for top end. And Carrie says, George said to do the top end on the 300 and quit talking. Wow, George. I expect payment in full for the logo rotation up in the slider by tomorrow. You can Venmo or just subscribe to me on OnlyFans. You have no idea where I got some of those ideas. So cheers, everybody. Actually, it may look, because it's a long glass, so actually to get it out, it may look a little bit different what you think. That's how I analyze stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go into the shop here. And so the trick that I have to deal with, by the way, is learning how to use all this technology like live on the it's gonna, I don't know which hand it's gonna follow. Hold on a second. There we go. Let's see, which is my left hand? There we go. So the trick is kind of like learning how all this stuff works, some different things. Oh, it's going to that other shot. It's following my stupid hand. Hold on. There's a thing I can do. Actually, I can just hold up my hand like I need to talk, like this. And then it should quit following my stupid hand. I have to watch the monitors. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and throw them up in the chat, and I will try to answer them. But the crowd has spoken. They want to see a top end on this particular bike. So I'm going to show you where this bike sits right now, because it's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to get bored out of your skull. If you're listening to this, if we turn this into a podcast, which requires me to keep talking, it requires me to keep talking. What's it doing? The body angle? Okay. This is the interesting thing about how these cameras work and stuff. There's a certain camera angle that you may be familiar with that doesn't show your face. So you can do things that, anyhow. I don't know why it's not following that. I can go here. There might be some other things hooked up, but I'm not really sure. Standard upper body. Let's see what this does. So I'm going to try to track into a different frame here. But the other thing is I got to go put on this other camera, which is over here. And by the way, all you other trolls that are following me on the, you're following me, trying to figure out how I innovate. And I was told by someone that's way smarter than me that you don't want to be the first person to do any of this stuff, because somebody will copy you. And so this is the you see what I see camera. And here we go. I got to put this thing on. So when I'm working on stuff, you'll be able to see what my hands are doing here. I could switch over to the other angle, and so you're kind of seeing what I'm seeing. And then if I walk over here, you can see I put on this particular camera, and now I'm fixing the microphone that I just took apart. So if the microphone dies, let everything know. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and start working on this bike. Oh yeah, I was going to show you what happens. So a perfectly good running bike, as you can hear, this is the way it rolled off of my last trail ride. I've been meaning to do this top end for a long time. It is 100. Let me just give you the hours on it. So 131 is when the top end went in. It has 167, but there were 40 hours of no odometer. So somebody else do the math. Okay, that's the question. If you do the math, if you go ahead and do the math on that, I will try to hook you up with something. I've got an idea. I think I'm going to try to give away something from this shop on every show. You just have to pay for the shipping. So, okay, here we go. So the first thing I like to do is kind of strip off some of the upper parts and stuff like that. So I have to drain the coolant. So just the things that what do I have to do this thing? It just started up and ran. The next stuff I have to do is put some of the different, pull some of the different stuff off there. So here we go. How do we get the seat off on this one? This is the trick with KTMs. We have a couple different years of KTMs. They have different bolts, but I'm pretty sure that this has, I don't remember if this one has one bolt or 2 bolts. It has 2 because I just pulled the one that would be the big long one out. Hey, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. No, I'm not going to let this out. You know what? Maybe I will. No, I won't. Have some questions that people sent in. And I do have a phone number we could try to call in, but I'm afraid it would actually break the internets in my house if you actually called in. So we're not going to do that. So the first thing I did, of course, was take off the seat. Now I'm going to pull the radiator shaft, and basically I'm going to pop the gas tank off. And let me go ahead and give you the this camera, since we're wasting bandwidth. You can hopefully see. I'll try to get the angle right here. You're going to see every bolt fall down, all the other stuff. So the next thing I'm doing, of course, is removing the gas tank. So did the radiator shroud bolts. And on this bike, I have a larger Chirby's gas tank because I have a problem where I tend to ride farther than the bike's gas tanks will allow. If you have any questions on the setup of my particular bike, this is a 2019 KTM 300 XCW, which in my opinion, I paid way too much for. But at the time, that was the going price. It was a friend of mine's bike, and he wanted to move on to another bike. And therefore, I had a deal. So ordinarily, and I'll put this up here, what I would do at this point, but you guys made me do this. Actually, I'm going to go put this someplace different. Out of the way. So ordinarily, what I would do at this point would be I would actually plug up the fuel line here, and then I would go and kind of hose this all off. Just give it an extra little cleaning, because there's some, it's a little bit dirty up here. Again, I can switch to let me see if I can use this other remote controller, because sometimes this thing will allow me to do stuff here. If I go here, I can go down here. Okay. So we'll see if this works out. So this is a little bit dirtier than I would like. And like I said, I would actually take this out. I would plug this up. I have a little rubber dealie that goes over this, which is my fuel filter. And I would put a cap over that and take it and just pressure wash this down and knock stuff down. But you asked me to do it live, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm still going to go get the rubber plug for this, because I just don't want to get any extra crap inside of here. And if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've done this, it's actually pretty easy. And I think I think it's easier on this one to take the radiators off. But yeah, there's a little bit of grime and dirt up here. I'll risk it. I'm not too worried. It's my own personal bike. What do I have to lose? So that's the thing. So that's the first thing I did. Second thing I'm going to go ahead and pop the exhaust system off, because it makes it easier. I'll go ahead and, since I'm on this side, I'll do this. I'm going to walk over in a second. If you have a burning question that's not being answered, it's because I'm trying to rebuild the top end on my motorcycle right now. And believe it or not, I have a lot of these projects like that I've been saving up in case I had to do this. So just so you know. Let's see there. So that's the exhaust is loose. Now I need my spring puller. I will switch camera angles for you, just so you know. There we go. So you're seeing what I'm seeing. I will go back to talk about Moapa while you work. So that's the last comment I just saw. So Moapa, that was the National Hare and Hound I rode on that bike over there. You know what's interesting is I actually got a fair amount of crap. You know what? When that happens, that means these right here are worn out. The O-rings on the exhaust. I mean, that exhaust pipe just fell right out. So, and the other thing that fell off was this little clip that goes on there. So I'll add it up to the stuff. Yeah, I got a lot of crap from people that said they asked me why I thought it was a good race. And I actually, because I thought it was a good race. So there we go. This is Selma, the shop cat. Come here, bud. She likes to smell a two-stroke oil, by the way. So now I got the pipe off, got that off. This has a skid plate on it that's going to make the draining of the coolant a little bit messy, but here we have this. What I thought about Moapa, I thought it was a pretty good race. The reason I went there was because it had been a long time since I'd raced a Hare and Hound. A couple of my friends said, "Hey, Jimmy, we're going to go out to the Hare and Hounds." And now I'm having the which damn bolt is it? There goes the coolant out. Hopefully you can see that. It's hard to look at the screen to see what you're seeing and do this all at once. But this is the, it's like the Truman Show, I guess. I can't remember that movie too well, but anyways. So I'm draining out the coolant now. And should be done with that pretty soon. Before I did this, I took the radiator cap off just so it would vent a little bit better. And I'm leaning the bike over right now, trying to get most of it out, because I don't want, when I pull that cylinder off, I would prefer that coolant doesn't go back into the center cases. So there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in. Hey, I'll show you something here. This is the bolt. And you can see this and notice the corrosion here. That means that we're running too much water and not enough coolant in there. There's a little bit of corrosion going on there. And maybe not the best water. And as you can see by the water, it's not green because I think it used to be red, but I allegedly may have boiled this bike over at some point, and that could be problematic. So, okay, I'm going to take a break here and head over to the computer to answer any questions. Oh, by the way, feel free to tell me that I'm doing it wrong, because I love those kind of comments. Let's see, 70 hours. Okay, Road Racer 3, that's good math. 76, you corrected yourself. That's right, because and so the total time on the crank, so the top end is 76 hours on the top end, and that puts it around 150 hours ish on the crank. Let's see. Use spray bottles and do a quick rinse and blow dry it to clean it up. I could probably smash the. I could probably blow a lot of stuff off, which I will before I pull that top end off. Let's see. And then Lowbrow says, yeah, guy. Now I know. Congrats on your glorious return to desert racing. Any plans to retake the 125 class Desert Throne? Goofy tech question. I could. The last time, so 20 years ago, I did win the 125 National Hare and Hound Championship, the C class, as they like to say. And you know how in the YZ250 tranny, the shift forks are pinned to the shaft and the whole shaft moved back and forth of the cases? Yeah, I vaguely remember this. Let's see, what would happen if you pin the forks and let them move as well? Since you have effectively double bearings in the fork, do you think it might shift a little easier? Well, man. So that's a good tech question from actually sitting down at a thing where I'm not actually trying to rebuild my bike right now. So can you corral that question and have me answer it later, because it involves a lot of flex between a lot of different components. And my first question is like, why won't that bike shift adequately right now, like YZ250? So anyways, Brian Horton says, what piston are you using? By the way, Lowbrow, are you a photographer? And if you are, if you're allegedly a photographer, would you know any wedding photographers I could contact, or anybody at the post office, if you know what I mean? Brian Horton, what piston are you using? I threw a Wiseco in my TPI. Seemed to me like it revved quicker. So Brian, this is actually a really good question. So this right now has a Vertex piston, which is basically a stock replacement. And we're going to see what it looks like when I pull it out. I don't believe this bike has ever really sucked any dirt that I know of. And just has an adequate amount of time. When I looked up at the piston rings probably 10 hours ago, hold on, we got a call live on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. One of my co-hosts from the past, Chris Barrett.
Oh man, it is Tuesday, isn't it?
It is Tuesday, and I love it when my friends call me on Tuesday, because they have no idea that I actually do a podcast show, even though they may allegedly have been on it before.
I've been waiting up at Mammoth for you. I thought you were coming.
I couldn't go snowboarding with you because I'm so dedicated to this craft that that I can't go just ditch out and go snowboarding to goof around when I should be out here actually in my shop. I'm doing a KTM300 Top End right now, believe it or not, live on the show.
Oh,
yeah.
My dad was he was watching it right now.
Oh, and he told you to call.
I don't think he didn't think you were live.
Oh. He didn't think I was live. Well, tell Mr. Co Husaberg 570 owner, by the way, if I had a bell in here right now, I would ring it. But yeah, tell him, no, we're actually doing this show live in the shop. He would be a good person to tell me I'm doing it wrong. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that is true. I do have him right here.
Oh, he's in Mammoth.
No, I'm not at Mammoth. I'm at my dad's house.
Oh. Wow.
We didn't make it that far. We made it to Bear.
Uh-huh.
I came down here.
Okay, well, I like to have skiing talk and snowboarding talk on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. That's always super important. It usually makes us go from like 26 million viewers to 40,000 viewers right away because it doubles our audience in what people think we talk about on this show.
I think you got the rings upside down.
I haven't even pulled the top end off. In fact, we're debating right now whether I should hit it with some high pressure air to blow the dirt off. Because if I wasn't live on the show, I would take it out to my wash rack and blast it one more time. Oh, now hold on. Can I interrupt your call to take a call from my wife? I'll call you back. Maybe. Okay. No, wait. No, she must have got the message. She hung up. So I'm going to call her back just because it's the way we do things here on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Actually, we're going to pause. We're going to pause the top end right now.
Okay.
And I was actually calling you to ask you about the MotoClick.
Oh,
you messed with it.
Yeah. Hold on a second. The MotoClick. Hold on. I'm going to switch my camera angle because you do have a valid question. I like to answer those, so I'm going to switch. Hold on. I got to move my cursor over here. Uh-oh. What's this thing doing? It doesn't realize there's a second screen. Here it is. There we go. Uh-oh. My camera may have died. Boy, this is bad. Can't do that. So I actually have a MotoClick sitting here that I need to mount on to a particular bike. Where is that sucker? It's in a box over there. Anyways,
you have one.
I have one. Yeah, you want to test it more?
Yeah, let's test that thing out. No, I had a buddy asking about it, and then I was like, you know what? I know the guy to call and talk.
Yeah, so MotoClicks are good. We did a test on it on Dirt Bike Test. You can go to www.dirtbiketest.com and search MotoClick. It'll come up. Trevor did a test on it. I have it here. I've been meaning to do some back-to-back stuff because I have a bunch of different people that tried to valve a shock for me. I told them what I wanted based off of stock and said valve it. And I have 3 different shocks that are, and I want to actually analyze the data. That's a pretty cool thing, yeah?
Be really good.
Yeah. So, okay. So somehow your phone call made the internet's die. And then I don't know why my thing, I think it came back to life because it's green. Nope, it's dead. Everybody that's watching the show right now is looking at a black screen because somehow, I don't know what happened. So, well, hey, Chris, it was.
I would probably hang up on me and get your camera working.
Really? Oh, do you think that? Do you think I care about my viewers that much?
What?
You think I care about my viewers that much? That I wouldn't take a call from a good friend who actually is co-hosted on this show. When are you coming back out to go trail riding? That's the important question. Because pretty soon I will have a fresh piston in this KTM300, and we could go see how that one works. By the way, to finish answering the question before they were asking what piston I was putting in there, so I'm taking out a Vertex and I'm putting in a Pro X because I test stuff, and so that's where we're at.
Yeah, Pro X is dialed. I've had them on. I had a KX 125 that was the only thing I'd run in that thing.
I know about this bike. Okay.
I feel like this piston change is gonna be one of those 20-minute jobs in the garage that ends up being 4 hours. How long is your show?
As long as it takes, Chris. I mean, it's usually we run about 2 hours, but I usually don't get calls in the middle of it that completely distract me from what I was technically doing. And by the way, Sarah Dell says, how does this channel only have 20,000 subs? I swear YouTube hides certain channels. Of course they do, because you know what? I don't have tits. But you are literally watching tits right now. I don't want to give away my secret.
Are you saying tips?
Tits.
Are you saying
tits?
Tits.
Like tits. Like tits? Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because this show is called Today in the Shop. Okay. So a Utah Desert Racer says, just got here. Man, this is some seriously raw video action. I didn't know this was an action show. I thought it was a tech show, but you tell me how we do this stuff. And
Tech Tit Taco Tuesday.
No,
actually, I think no. More.
Today in the shop. You spell it out, okay? Don't get too technical here. Sarah Dell says 2-stroke hard enduro with a button, please, Yamaha. By the way, this show is brought to you by Yamaha. If you're watching some of the logos flash down in this corner right here, I'm going to point at it. There we go. Down there, Yamaha does help bring you this show, as well as some other companies like Fast Company. If you look at my bike, these are flex handlebars. I'm not just a marketing operation. I'm a real guy with a shop, and I talk about it. So, Chris, thanks for calling in to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. I'm sorry you were not caller number 39, and you don't win the prize.
Okay. I'll see you up there in a couple days.
But
we'll get some.
Yeah, but do you think I should call my wife back?
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, see ya. Okay, so that was Chris Barrett, by the way, one of my best test riders ever. I'll move over to the camera that I'm talking to. One of the best test riders that I ever had when I was at Dirt Rider Magazine, because we completely disagreed on everything, and he could explain it quite well, as long as he wasn't in front of a camera, and then he stuttered a lot and said it was good. That was Chris for you. So thanks for calling in, Chris. I'll get him back on the show. If you watch some early episodes of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, we actually moved it into the shop before it was doing what it was doing. That was it. So where were we with this? You can see probably the most problematic thing about having people walk into your shop when you're trying to do work would be this. Trying to pay attention to this stuff and make it happen. So I'm going to go ahead and go here. And I don't know why my other camera died out, which is really problematic, because you want to see what I'm doing with my hands. I have no idea how to fix this. Again, technical difficulties that you're going to suffer through. So I'm going to go ahead and use this camera here and see. You don't want to go back to the intro again. Here's how I figure this stuff out. I got to figure out why this thing is not connected. I'll go back to the questions while I do this. Let's see. Call my wife, says Dave. Nitro Moose Platinums. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and answer questions. If this top end thing doesn't happen, it's because you guys have too many questions. But I'll do my best. Let's see. Bruce Olson, and I think, is Bruce the one that asked Nitro Moose questions before? Because there was. Karen O says, Nitro Moose Platinum in front, feels a bit soft. You recommend sizing up on mooses or adding a wedge piece to get a higher pressure feel. So in mooses, yeah, the pressure has to do with how tight the moose is inside of it. In the platinum, the plushies are the soft ones in Nitro Moose. It all has to be, the more stuffed it is, the higher PSI you get. And then it depends on how old it is to get there, to make that work out. So if it feels too soft, yeah, add a wedge in there, stuff something else inside of it to make it work. And then it has a little bit or a lot to do with the carcass of the tire. The carcass of your tire can add feel. Like there's some moose companies that recommend running really stiff tires. Other ones say, hey, run the right moose and let the tire, especially companies that make mooses and tires, they have combinations that have a certain feel. They start out at 12 and they work their way down to 10, and then they recommend that you throw the moose away and the tire away and start all new again. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve to get that sort of sensation. I stuff mooses with wedges, and or I have I'll call it a moose schedule. Mine I start out with the thicker ones. They start out and we'll call it rally and or dual sport use, more so rally. Then they move to dual sport. Then they move to trail riding when they get kind of soft and mushy. So I alternate them. So in their second or third tire, they're in a bike that's going to be trail ridden as opposed to something that I'm going to ride in Baja or expect to do things. And Victor is a little bit late to the show. What are you rebuilding, Jimbo? Well, let me tell you what I'm rebuilding. This is the heaviest shot glass in the world, and I'm going to rebuild the fill of it as soon as I can get my cursor over to the other screen here and go here. So I'm going to rebuild this with the finest whiskey. Actually, some people have told me it's the best whiskey known to man, Addictivo. This is a good pour here. Just a little. Actually, I'm going to show it because somebody accused me of going a little deep with that. That's enough right there. And here we go. After 2 of these, I could probably call my wife, right? So just working through the questions tonight. Maybe we'll get to this 300 top end. If not, I'll actually record the 300 top end and put it up on the tubes, whatever they are. It's supposed to follow my left hand, but it's not doing it. But you can hear what it sounds like. Okay. Back over here. I don't know why my thing hasn't settled down. And we're going to go ahead and get back to the top end. Okay, so what we've done so far is drain the coolant. We have, gas tank off, drain the coolant, and now I'm going to start cleaning stuff away from the area so that I can get into the bike. And so usually at this point, I'm going to move the radiators and take the head stays and stuff out of the way. So nope, don't want to do that. So my thing is not following me. I gotta go to hand. Hi, this is my hand. Now it's going to follow my hand. And then we'll see what it does when I do a close-up. Technology. Don't worry, AI is going to take over. So let me see what I need here. I need to take the head stays off, which is actually pretty easy. So I'm going to grab a couple tools. Wrong one. And the torque on these is just a little bit higher than what my little impact driver likes to do. So I'm going to loosen up by hand. If anybody wants to see the cat, she just ran away. I'm going to undo the close-up and go to track. See what it does there. Okay. Again, if you wonder what we're doing a live top-end rebuild on a KTM300 XCW. We did one of these on a beta. One of the tests we did on how all this equipment works was on a beta 300, and I think we also did a KTM 500 top end rebuild. So if you're curious about this stuff, we have this stuff on our channel. So go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, trash, talk shit if you need to. So I took the head stays off. And now I'm going to go ahead and move the radiators. By the way, on these radiators, bulletproof designs, radiator guards, which are super robust, super stable. Again, bulletproof designs help support this channel. And These guys are, I met these guys because they came out and helped me at the King of the Motos Hard Enduro, by the way. So here's the Bulletproof Designs guard. That thing's stout. And here we go, the other side. I'm going to tell you a trick about these while I have it in my hand. And this is something for any radiator guard, especially ones that are, machine billet. Buy them when the bike is new. And the reason for this is they're precision machined to fit on the radiator and the frame. And once your radiator gets crooked, these don't fit because your radiator doesn't fit. The radiator is very elastic and bendy. And if you buy these and they're new, you won't have to buy a second radiator. When you buy the second radiator, that's the cost of these. And if you tip over a lot and it goes like this, and now your radiator is shaped like an accordion, good luck. So just a word of advice from somebody who's smashed and bent plenty of radiators in the past. So now the radiators are kind of loose, and now that I'm going to go ahead and get my Phillips head screwdriver. It's the one I use here, this nice long one, because it can reach in and grab all of the weird angles. And then I can get the radiators out of the way, which makes it much easier to get the the radiators off and out of the way of the cylinder. And I try to do it so you kind of look at the radiator hose routing and how it goes across. So this radiator actually has wires connected to it because it has the fan. And what I do here is just pop this sucker off, and I took it. So I'm taking it off the case here. So you just look at the different radiator routing on different bikes and make sure it's loose enough to come all the way off. Now, how does this channel only have 20,000 subs? I'm blaming Trevor Hunter for that. Trevor tries to show videos of him racing all the time. If you want to follow Trevor Hunter, just go to his channel. I'm pulling this off. I got to go get another tool here. I need my little radiator hose clip. By the way, this is a thing that slides underneath this radiator hoses. And I mean, I've ridden we'll call it the crap out of this particular bike. And when I pulled these things off and I'm having to, kind of go in here, this bike has gotten really, really hot. So it's definitely had its easy days. Adjusting, pulling, loosening up here. So when the hoses get that little bit of brittle to them, that's off. And then they get a little bit sticky where they mount. That's showing you that your bike has gotten really hot. I don't know how. I mean, I hardly ever do any riding that's really that difficult. I'm being sarcastic if you don't know me. That's when we pulled the coolant out of this bike, by the way. I noticed that there was some corrosion. And that would indicate that, it's boiled over a few times. So that's out of the way. And then I'm going to go to the other side and pull the other one off. And I have to do another hose clamp here. And this bike has the thermostat still on it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the one off the top of the cylinder head right now. Loosen that guy up. And then the one back here out of the other side of the radiator. That's out of the way, and all that stuff comes easily out of the way. So the hoses are still there, and I can pull the one crossover hose. That's the hose that goes between the two radiators, and put it in front of the frame tube, and that gives me plenty of room to work with when I decide to get the cylinder off. So I still don't know why this camera is not working. It's got a green light on it, but I'm going to go ahead and shut her off and see if it comes back to life. It's like anything, just reboot, right? So what I'm going to take off now, spark plug cap. And if anything is a tight fit in here, spark plug cap is one of them. You know, when you have to change a spark plug cap on this bike, there's a hose that goes into the power valve cover. Same thing. I'm going to use my little hose pulling tool and get that guy out of the way. And then now's the time when I'm going to go over and grab the compressed air and then take it off. So if you're listening to this, if we make this into a podcast, if we dare to make a horrible podcast about this and you're wondering what's going on, these are, it's a video, and you're able to kind of watch. Basically, you're able to watch my shop, and then there's a human figure that bounces around inside of it. And so now I'm taking the cylinder head temperature, the coolant temperature sensor off here. Probably the most difficult thing in some of the newer bikes is figuring out where to push on the clips to disconnect the sensors from their mounts and everything like that. So I just did that. Spark plug caps out of the way. So we still have the fuel injectors connected and the other stuff, but now I feel like it's a good time to actually go grab the compressed air and blow the thing out. So I'm going to go check the questions real quick, see how we're doing. Okay. Let's see. Climb windbreaker. Will that pack down or any other brand? Sawyer, Climb supports and sponsors this particular show. So do you think I'm going to say anything bad about their products other than they're the most awesome? But no, in all honesty, there's a lot of windbreakers that'll pack down and stuff like that. I remember I used to ride for Malcolm Smith, and they had a thing called a pack jack. And Climb does have a windbreaker that does this. They have a couple different ones. They have ones that are like Gore-Tex shells that are actually pretty pricey, but they kind of go over the top and they'll pack down really small. And then they have these kind of like underlayers or mid layers that are not necessarily, they have some that are windstopper material, and so as an underlayer, they work really well. Go ahead and go to climb.com and check that stuff away and keep that tequila away from the camera. No. JL Sawyer, I carry that one. Not sure what Jimmy thinks of it. Yeah, all the Climb stuff is really good. Let's see. Anthony says, leave it in that track mode. It looks pretty good. Okay. Here's the interesting thing about what I'm dealing with here is you may be watching that at a different time than what I'm watching. So I'm trying to push the buttons, and I'm going to reboot my camera right now. It's on my chest here, and hopefully this thing comes back to life. And so which one do you recommend? Which means me. Which one do I recommend? I don't ride in the rain that much. So I have the one that's I wish I remembered the exact names of all the different ones. And I have one that's outer Gore-Tex shell, and it's expensive. And so I'm probably one of the most frugal people you've ever met. So I'm so scared of ripping it. If I'm riding in the trees and stuff like that, I don't want to have that on the outside thinking that it'll catch. In fact, that National Hare and Hound, that I was raced that somebody wanted me to talk about at the second round. That's the first time in like 20 years, actually the first time at a National Hare and Hound, other than crashing, that I tore my jersey. I tore my Climb XC Pro jersey. And I don't know how. I think it was when I watched episode 249 of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, where I talk about how I was actually clutching it and shifting it while I was laying on my side in the dirt thinking I was going to go someplace. That was last episode. So, yeah, whiskey, by the way. Yeah, good. Come on, Victor, get it straight. It's whiskey made by a tequila company. So there we go. My thing tells me this camera is going to work. I'm going to give it one more shot over here. If I can get my cursor to go onto the damn computer screen, and it still doesn't work. Let's see if I can reboot it. Nope. I don't have no idea why it's not doing this. There's a properties restart. No, I don't know. Okay. I have no idea why this thing's, because it says it's working. It might have gotten a signal from another signal, which is another thing, and now we're dealing with technical difficulties. So, yeah, strange. I'll troubleshoot this like 10 minutes before the next show. The inversion jacket. That could be the name. I would have to go to the Climb website right now and research the names of different things. Don't report me to my Climb.com sponsors that I don't know the name of every product in the catalog. Okay. Next. So where are we at? So now I'm going to go grab the hose for the computer. I'm going to turn the wide shop here. I'm going to turn this thing into tracking mode, which is here. So it should track now. And yeah, good. It doesn't work. There we go. Come on, buddy. Follow me. Here. I don't know if it's trying to follow my hand. Let's see. I can do something on this computer. Normal tracking. How's this? Oh boy. I know what's wrong. Is somehow I'll tell you what's wrong. So somehow this thing actually controls that and my computer, and it's still not working. But we'll figure it out. So let me get this guy here. I'm going to get lounge music. And then you can watch that. Here we go. So what I'm doing here is before I open anything up, I'm blowing all the crap away. And thank God the compressor didn't turn on, which it probably will right at the point I'm telling you something that's really important. So I blew all the crap away, so now I can start taking off parts that are going to get a little bit dirty. I'm going to get a Torx wrench here to pull the power valve cover off. It's probably this size here. I still have not learned the exact sizes of torque wrenches, because I swear every manufacturer uses, there's some that are 27, some that are 25, some that are 20, some that are 30. I don't know where they decide to get all this stuff. So power valve cover comes off because that's important to do this. I was going to do a Rooster Endo tonight, by the way. So if you're wondering, if somebody sent a Rooster Endo submission, and by the way, Rooster Endo is brought to you by Takamoto. And if you, here's another good thing. So I'm pulling the power valve cover off right now. And when you take this power valve cover off, there's a gasket seal here. And these are kind of notorious on a lot of different bikes, not only KTMs, but other brands, for leaking. And this gasket behind here is kind of like an aluminized gasket. I always like to put a little bit of drop out of the camera because it's not following me right now. It was working so good in the beginning. So I always like to put a little bit of seal around the bottom of this gasket surface there so that it doesn't leak. Because actually mine is pretty good. I'm pretty surprised at how well it's working, although it is a little bit dirty. And then there's the clip. Hey, you know what I really like about the new the new bikes, the new KTMs with the electronic power valve, is the fact that you just unplug a wire. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You just basically unclip a wire. So there's a little tiny circlip that goes on there, and then I pop the ball. It's a kind of a ball fitting onto the on the thing, so that comes disconnected. Then here comes the gasket. I'll try to get this thing here. Let me move the cursor away from this here. On this, if I move this away, then now I can actually get this guy to start falling. Nope, still the wrong thing. I'll collect something different. Something different over here. There we go. Next thing you know, I'll make the thing. So here we go. There we go. Now we can start falling. This thing should start working again. Track. Okay. So we have the power valve cover off. Now I'm going to disconnect the wire sensors, or the basically the sensors off the injectors. And that was the other thing that was better about the non-TBI bike, is everything was connected. It didn't have all this stuff onto the cylinder, so the cylinder was a little bit cleaner to take stuff off. By the way, still mad at my camera here. You should be able to see exactly what I'm pulling off the bike. Again, the trick here is finding where to push on the clips to disconnect. Luckily, that whole kind of wire harness is separate from the cylinder. So now when I go to pull the cylinder off, you know, all of the fuel injection lines are kind of connected to it. I don't really need to worry too much about taking those off. I have to pull the other power valve cover off on the other side as well, because the nut that holds the cylinder down is also there. So if somebody's a tech guru and you know how to make these cameras hook up and stay hooked up, let me know. By the way, I'm just right over here. Hi. You're looking on the camera. So I'm pulling the other power valve cover off. There we go. There's always a little bit of goop in there from all of my low RPM riding. So here's the tray and here's the goop. It's basically the sludge. So sometimes people have problems with like plug fouling and different things on the KTM 300s. And here's the thing. If you're riding a lot of low RPM riding, where essentially you'll call it spooge, ends up bleeding out of the power valve, because those chambers where the power valve actuators are, that's where the excess gas goes when they open up the power valve. And those chambers actually can add torque to the motorcycle. Like there's expanders that go in there. So there's pressure that's going through there, especially on we'll call it the non-lever side. the lever side is lubricated from the gear oil. The other side is lubricated from the two-stroke oil. If that thing starts packing up with oil, like mine was a little bit, when you go to like clean the bike out, when you're riding, like the first time you really open it up, some of that stuff kind of starts bouncing around. It should just go out the exhaust, but it might bleed back in and cause the bike to load up a little bit. So that's something to kind of be aware of, when you're doing a lot of low RPM riding. Although the one thing about these bikes, the fuel injected bikes, is that they tend to be, way better than a carbureted bike as far as doing that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and take the spark plug out just because it makes it a lot easier to get the sucker off. And if I actually got a 21 millimeter wrench instead of a 22 millimeter wrench, it would have been easier, but that's what I grabbed. Those spark plugs coming out. We'll see what this thing looks at. It's actually been started up 5 or 6 times without riding, just from moving it around. And here's our spark plug. Some people would say it's a little bit dark, but this bike runs perfect. It's good. So that's off, and now it is time to take off the cylinder. So I have one hose going off the back. That's the sensor for the crankcase pressure sensor. But other than that, I just need my 13 millimeter wrench. And I have, and I think it's in here, hopefully. I have, where is it? It may not be in here now, now that I said this. So I actually have a 13 millimeter wrench that on the back side has been ground down, because there's one of those cylinder nuts is really tight. So break those guys loose. And it's a really tight fit up between the cylinder and the ones that are in the power valve. So knocking those loose. That's loose. Come over here. Bye-bye. I'm going to disappear since I don't have my better thing. Does anybody think I should call my wife? It is Tuesday night, and it's her fault that she called on, while I'm doing the show. Kind of like Chris Barrett. But if you want to be a guest on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, all you have to do is go to YouTube right now and donate a shit ton of money to the, I think there's some sort of thing that you can, like, because we're a premium channel, you can do that right now. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast, just subscribe, like, whatever. Also, and I'm being serious here, if you want to help us out, you can click through our links on Rocky Mountain and or Amazon. And the way you do this is you just go to Rocky Mountain. You go to dirtbiketest.com and click on the links that say support us. And I'm taking this stupid camera off because, wait, it actually, I think it's trying to connect. Oh, this is really amazing. This thing's doing something now. We'll see what happens. Hold on. Or it's telling me the battery's dying. We'll check it one more time. My friend told me that people that do things first, no, it's not working. People that do things first tend to not do very well at them. But, somebody has to pioneer this crap. So back to the questions. We don't have any more questions. And all 32 million people that are watching this, letting them down. But the cylinder is going to come off. This is like the reveal moment, by the way. This is where you're at. And I will go ahead and pull up the cylinder, and you'll get to see it live on camera, but not on this particular camera because this stupid camera is not working adequately. Here we go. Plug this thing back in and maybe it'll come back to life. I think in order to make that camera work, I would actually have to shut down the stream and kind of reboot the whole thing. So I've loosened those up. I don't really want to take the cylinder head off when I'm doing this. I would like to just drop a piston inside of it and call it good, because I don't feel like the rod has enough time, in the 150 hours that this thing has on it. So there I've loosened up. And another thing I have on this bike is I have the clamp that goes around the exhaust flange to protect the exhaust flange in case the exhaust pipe takes a big hit, it doesn't break the cylinder. So I've loosened it up, and because the nuts are such a tight fit in the power valve covers, I have to loosen those as well. And if you're watching this, this is like, how do I do my top end on my 2019 KTM300 TPI bike? I'm sorry for all the talking, but I would suggest go to your local KTM dealership and ask your mechanic if you can watch him do this. That'll go over just perfect, because he probably does it twice as fast and doesn't talk as much, nor does he have a stupid podcast every Tuesday night where he has to entertain a bunch of people on the internets that don't have anything better to do than watch things. So what I just did is I just popped the cylinder up, and now I'm pulling the piston down to bottom dead center so that it's closer, so I can actually lift this thing up. And I'm bringing it up and bringing the piston down to bottom dead center like that. And now I have to take this hose, the pressure sensor hose off the back. Crankcase pressure sensors. So that's a topic of some debate. I had some questions. Somebody sent me some questions. He replaced his crankcase pressure sensor 3 or 4 times and wanted to know if that was normal. I'm going to tell you that in all of the KTM TBI, TPI, whatever bikes, I have replaced my crankcase pressure sensors exactly 0 times. I know people that have had to replace them, and there were problems with them. And about, I don't want to say half of the times, and I'm pulling that hose off now, which, remember I told you this bike got really hot? That hose has got really hot because it's a little bit more, we'll call it, I don't want to call it brittle, but it's not as malleable as it used to be. So I'm going to pop it off here, because usually you can just unhook the clip and then pop it off. And right now I'm having to use a screwdriver to give it a little bit of a push off, because where it kind of pops over the flange on that, it's become a little bit tight. So there we go. And bottom dead center. And I may have to take this exhaust flange. I have to take this exhaust flange off the front because it doesn't allow the cylinder to come all the way up. So 8mm ratcheting wrench. And I'll pull this guy off. And I'll show you what it looks like when I pull it off. Because it's basically a pinch sleeve that a little bit of a gum around it. So I just loosen it up, and then hopefully it pops off nice and easy. But it does have some silicone and stuff around it. It's a little gummed up. Here we go. I'm still down here behind the bike. Hi, everybody. If you're just joining in, I had a good camera that actually would allow you to see what I'm doing. I'll go to track again. Hopefully it starts tracking. Oh, I know what the problem is. So now the cylinder flange, I don't remember taking this off the last time. Okay, I'm probably going to be able to get it. So make sure this sucker's at bottom dead center. It is. And yeah, that flange is going to prevent me from taking that all the way off. So I've got to pull the two bolts that are holding the exhaust spring tabs on. And those are Allens. I thought they were 8mm, but they appear to be 5mm Allens. So I'll give that a shot. Okay, so I got those guys coming out. And here we go. Okay, here's what I just took off. By the way, I was just down there. I wasn't doing anything fishy. Just down there taking this flange off. And so these bolts hold on both this sort of flange that goes around the exhaust port so it doesn't allow it to break off. And then it holds the spring mount tabs on it as well. Now my fingers are extra gooey. Let's see if we have any questions. The shop. Hi, Sarah. Sarah Price, a good friend of mine who is ridiculously fast at driving a UTV in Dakar and racing electric speedboats that hover over the sea. Don't ask me how. But okay, so here we go. We've got that flange out of the way, and now this will allow the cylinder to raise up high enough to come off the side. And I have to decide which side I want it to come out. And I think going to the non-power valve side is going to help here because I don't have the power valve arm in the way. And we will see. So every little piece, these things are packaged so tight these days that every little millimeter counts. And so knowing which side to take the cylinder off. So now we've cleared the piston. Now we're coming out the other side. Like I talked about moving that thermostat and the hose out of the way. We talked about that earlier, about an hour ago, before you had your favorite shot of tequila or whiskey. So here's a cylinder. Look at that. So here's my cylinder here, off. And I'll give you, I haven't even looked at it yet, but that's what a cylinder looks like. Notice I tore the gasket, but I'm going to replace it. And I'll just take that and set that down here on the bench. Why doesn't that camera? Don't go to the intro. Go to here. Oh boy. There we go. I gotta fix this. Move the cursor to the wrong place. Computer too. Okay. So back at the shop. By the way, don't be afraid to enjoy our sponsors. It is that time. Hold on a second. Cheers. So I'm going to go pull the piston off right now. So if you're wondering what that looks like, Here we go again. Go back to this camera here. Wide shot. Move this thing over here. No, don't go there. Okay. Let's turn off the ask questions. If this helps. Okay. So if I'm able to control the camera from here, track, follow. Here we go. So I'm going to see if we can do a close-up on this cylinder. There we go. Look at that. So that's the cylinder. It's hard to see inside there. You know what I'm going to do? Just because I can. What does a cylinder look like? Oh, no. It's not a Makita commercial right now. Come on. Camera. Now if you can do better at this, I think you should. Because I'm horrible. Okay, now I'm going to pull the piston off. So I got to get my little circlip pliers. So to get this off, there's a couple things I do. Typically, I have a little tiny pair of circlip pliers. I have a nice pick. So I'll use these two things. And probably the smartest thing you can do at this point is to cover the crankcase so those circlips don't go falling in the crankcase, because I do not want to take the engine out to fish out a circlip. So what I'm going to do now, and hopefully it'll follow me here. See if it follows me. Come on, buddy. Here we go. Up. So I'm going to, hey, you know what my bike has that maybe yours doesn't? A Kickstarter. Yeah, it makes it so the bikes that don't have Kickstarters, this is an interesting thing for you as well. When your bike doesn't have a Kickstarter, you have a hard time turning over the piston. So let's see. I'm going to unturn the tracking off, and I'm going to zoom down, and then I'm going to go to close-up. See what it does. Go down. Come on, buddy. Up. I have no idea what just happened because my screen did something crazy on my side of the thing here. So let's see if I can fix this. Due to technical difficulties. Wow, what happened there? It was doing something. I don't know if I can fix this. Try one more time. See if I minimize it and then put it back up. Yeah, well, at least the stream's still good. See if I can. Oh man, I don't know how to fix this problem. Well, you're gonna have to suffer through. Wait a minute, I have another thing here. Nope. Let me try to bring it to my other computer screen here and I'll see if I can fix it. I'll take questions in a minute, but unfortunately, something's going wrong on my end. Let's see. Too many technical difficulties going on at the moment. This is where it would be really nice to have what they call a producer or a filmer or some kid that knows more about video than I do, or at least these technical difficulties. Because most kids cannot rebuild KTM300 while doing a podcast. So ask your questions in the chat. I'm going to just pretend like this isn't happening right now. No, that's the wrong thing. Bring this over to their screen here. And then we'll go like this and see if it fixes itself. It doesn't. So yeah, somehow I jacked everything up on my screen. scale the window. Let's see if this works. Okay, there we go. All it takes is pushing buttons, my friends. Back to, even though I wrecked the whole other thing that it was doing here. There we go. And we'll go to the shop again. Okay. So back to my tools. I have my my pick and my circlips, and I'm going to pull it out. But first, I'm going to put the paper towels in. Come on, buddy. Follow me down here. It doesn't want to do it. Let's see if I can do this without wrecking it again. Nope. There we go. Yeah. Wow. So now they finally had a chance to take a look at this piston. This piston has seen some hard times. So I've stuffed the paper towel underneath it so the circlips don't go into the thing. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this thing to follow me down here. Come on, buddy. Follow. Oh, shit. There we go. I told someone before we started this was going to be kind of a shit show. And that's what we're working on here. So let's see if this thing is going to. Okay, if I could get it to zoom in there. Here we go. And now my computer is telling me it wants to blow up, which is perfect. That's okay. It completely lost connections with the internets. But hopefully the show is back and alive. If it's not, you can always follow me on Instagram, Twitter, things. So what I'm doing over here now is popping out the circlip. Luckily, there's a groove in the piston that makes it easy to reach in with either the pliers or the clip and pull this guy out. And you can't see from the other side because I'm on this side of the bike, but I prefer to do it on this side because there's more room, and I can go in there and grab the clip. I like it, and so when I put these clips in, I put them in so that the openings on the circlip were up at the top, and they have remained there. And so I got the circlip out now. It's here in my hand. And now I'm going to take a 1/4-inch drive socket extender. So there we go. I'll take this, and I can lightly tap this guy, and this will push the wrist pin out. So if I put the fat end in and give it a little love, and I like to back the piston up so that you're not actually putting a side load on the crank when you're doing this. This is helpful. If I had a better, we'll get the actual hammer here. The small hammer, which makes it easier. And it's going. I'm going to go to the other side. Easier that way. I have no idea what this sounds like on the internets when I'm tapping on this guy, but I'm being super gentle with it. So that's enough to get it out, and it's out. So piston is off. right here. And here is my piston. And my piston had a hard day on this side at some point or another in its life. So when we're looking at this, and I don't know how clear the resolution is, but you can see here, and this is a little bit of a buildup, and that is probably right behind one of the transfer ports in the back. But if we kind of rotate around the piston, here's the front of the piston. And when I was looking at it, it was really clean on the exhaust side here. But at some point I saw a little bit of blow by. So I was kind of seeing this out the port window because this is the shape of the exhaust port. So it actually looked really good. But when you go around, you can start seeing some kind of blow by and build up there. And over here, this is sort of some buildup between some scratches. So that piston has seen some harder days. When I pull the pin out, which I can pull out by hand for the most part, a little bit tight here. It's a little bit tight, nice tight fit there. Almost, come on, wobbling out because there's some carbon. But the pin is actually really nice, smooth. You can see the normal wear, the heat marks on the side. Everything looks good there. But, I always check, are the rings free? What does the top of that piston look like? Jimmy, what oil are you running? Good question. I would love for that oil company to sponsor me. You wonder what it is. Because that's not a lot of buildup. That's 100 and something hours on the top of that thing. And obviously, like I told you, this piston has gotten really hot. I think I've run it out of coolant, but I'm just looking at all the different wear marks that I could explain in detail. Maybe I'll do a specific video just on the piston and stuff, but I'm super happy. And, you look inside of there to see how hot it's become, how dry it is. You saw me start this bike up at the beginning of the video. This piston is actually relatively dry right now. But there's ways to go and measure this stuff. And we've been running long enough now where I'm happy where this stuff is at. I'm going to go take this pin right here, back, and put it into the pin, into the rod. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to give the crank a check and see how everything's feeling inside of here, how tight. And this is something, it's just from experience, when you start lifting up and down, moving side to side, twisting, turning this to see, where things are at. And when I go and look at it, nothing inside there indicates anything bad has happened. I'll need to take a little bit of time and start looking really close at that cylinder. Actually, I'm going to do it right now because now that I've seen the, where did that damn controller go? There it is over here. So now that I've seen the piston, I can kind of match it to the cylinder. And here we go, track. See what it is. So now I can match this to the cylinder and look inside there closely. We got my flashlight. And everything looks good. There is on the skirt up inside of here. So up there where you see the matching marks on the piston, it's had a rough day, but nothing too bad. And this is the point where I would actually take out like a feeler gauge and measure to see what it's like. I'm going to look at the piston rings before I go and drop the brand new piston into it. The cylinder head, everything looks super clean inside of there. Yeah, the power valve is, the power valve still moves super fluid. There's nothing inside of there that's kind of binding or anything like that. But that's where we're at with this guy. I would like to put it back together for you, but the attention span is running a little bit low. I will go back to the questions. And Roger tells me I should be running some CalGuard oil. Yeah, back in the day, That's what you're guessing, because that's what they were a sponsor. I ran CalGuard. In fact, I was sponsored by other companies, and their oil wasn't as, we'll call it, successful as the CalGuard. And so I actually ran the stickers of the other companies. And then, stickers of the other companies, and ran CalGuard oil. So there we go. So good on you. We're going to do a Rooster Endo tonight, by the way. I did mention we would do Rooster Endo. So let me bring some stuff into the show. I think I can bring it into the show. I'm going to do this live. You're just going, great. So I'm going to add a media source into this thing. I'm going to create a new one. And no, that's not it. Cancel. I need to get I was going to add an image. Okay. And here is our pictures. Nope. Where is, maybe it's on my desktop? Nope. Is it downloaded? Boy. I'm working on it. I'm doing my best, trying to make this show as good as possible. But you're getting what you paid for. Here we go. Okay. So this is our Rooster Endo submission for tonight. Here's the thing. If you wonder how you can be part of Rooster Endo, if you've lasted this long on this particular show, Rooster Endo is brought to you by Takamoto. Takamoto brings you lots of cool parts for your dirt bike. Go to takamoto.co. They support Rooster Endo. And if these photos weren't so damn large, here we go. I'm getting it in there. This is Dean Kemp's. Dean Kemp's. Oh, I thought it was going to be on here. It's a Husky 252 stroke. It has flex handlebars because I can see them. It has I believe it's a Rocky Mountain or Tusk skid plate. It has a Scott steering stabilizer and some other things. But anyways, it's a really beautiful picture too, by the way. I'll try to put the whole picture in there. I know where this is. It just so happens that I know where this awesome location is. It's near one of the most epic trails that you will ever ride, but it's super top secret, and that's why we'll keep it that way. So Dean Kemp, congratulations on winning Rooster Endo, because you are the only submission this week. I was going to actually walk through the shop with that stupid camera of mine and show you a bunch of bikes that I have for sale, but that's not the case because my camera died. That one over there. We'll work on this stuff as we get better when we're doing this kind of thing. And so yeah, Dean, you're let's what do we say about Dean's bike? It's relatively stock. I know this thing's a trail hog. It's a really good bike because I've ridden with this particular character. And yeah, there we go. What else did it have on it? I printed out the list of things that it has. If Dean's in the chat, maybe if you're not in the chat, I'll disqualify you and make you not win. But here's how we're gonna know. If you have to send me an email, Dean, and let me know that you won. You have to remind me that you won Rooster Endo tonight, and then I can hook you up with Taco Mike and get you taken care of for your $100 gift certificate for the next part that you're going to buy on that particular bike. So takamoto.co, not com, takamoto.co, and they can probably hook you up if you have a particular need for your particular bike, especially the bikes that require ECUs and different little trinkets. Like if your turn signals get torn off, they have tidy tails. If you have electrical wiring issues, they have fixes for those. And he has a bunch of really good one sheets, we'll call them, where if you're wondering what to do to your bike, he kind of lays out the pros and cons of doing different things. And for the most part, I tend to agree with what he is telling you about that. So there's where you go for all your info there. Again, I'd like to thank a lot of our sponsors. I was going to talk about some Pirelli tires for dirt bikes and adventure bikes tonight, but I got buried in this top end rebuild. It is almost 9 o'clock, so I have been going for 2 hours. I'd like to good shout out to Fast Company Flex Handlebars, Scott Steering Stabilizers. See how I'm looking at my bike right now like those guys on the podium? I don't even deserve to be on a podium, although I did get on a podium at a Hare and Hound a couple weeks ago. I want to know what the guys that were half my age were doing when I beat them. That's what I really want to know. I'm testing a lot of stuff like moose balls. We're doing a whole big extensive moose comparison right now. So this bike actually has moose balls in it. And they're on their second journey through a tire. So we have some experience with those. Some of my other, of course, the Cherbys. Franco Cherbys saved me from a life of slavery in Zurat, Mauritania. Try saying that 5 times fast. I'd like to thank Addictivo Whiskey for tonight's show. And you know what? I probably should call my wife back. Let's pretend. By the way, Dean, yeah, remind yourself to email me about the remind yourself to email me about that you're putting this this bike as the winner. And there's a lot of other stuff's coming, but here we go. No, we're gonna do this. We're using the phone right now. I'm gonna call my wife. No better way to finish the show than have a call with your wife live on the internet. See how this goes. Did we lose? I think the whole show might have shut down. Yep. It came back. It died. Yep, we can't actually call out because it takes too much internet. So anyways, thank you everybody for joining the show. Glad I didn't give out the number to call in, but I'm going to answer some questions because this is what we do on this show. So I'm going to turn off that particular thing. Here we go. I'm going to turn this off. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so here's your questions. Tobe asks me, "Hi, Jimmy. Checking in with you regarding the Beta 200RR. I hope Toby didn't have to watch this whole show to get to this point. I watched your video on the bike and wondering if you have input as to jetting and what you found to work. I'm loving mine, but finding it difficult to dial in the jetting with the little engine. I've been on YZ250s for years. I'm in Grand Junction, Colorado, so I'm riding from 5 to 10,000 foot, depending on the season. Any input would be greatly appreciated. I found the Beta to be far too lean." So this is interesting. When we got the Beta and we were riding it from, we'll say 500 to 3,000 initially, and then we went up higher, it was jetted perfect. It was really, really good. Maybe a clip position, whatever I said in the video when I talked about it. If I mentioned it in the video, and this is the way that stuff works. If I take the time to make a video, I'm dumping that information out of my brain into a video so I never have to remember it anymore. So whatever I said in the video about the jetting, that's what stands. But I don't recall this bike, and this is going back 2 years now. I remember it being pretty close. but we're talking that 500 to 3,000 range. A carburetor, a standard carburetor, generally can operate in about a 3,000 foot elevation range, and in I would say a 40 to 50 degree temperature range. These are just numbers I'm just pulling out of my cranium, which is really similar to my ass a lot of the times. So these things, these numbers is sort of what I'm getting at. And I'm getting told that we're getting 0 kilobytes out of this whole internet system right now. So I probably broke the internets, which I'm going to shut some stuff down and see how this works. But at least we're recording, so I'll put this up, later on the YouTubes. So anyways, that's the range of a carburetor. So when you start going up another 2,000, 3,000 feet from that particular range, you're going to have to do some jetting. Some bikes like needles, some like main jets, some require pilot jets. It's very, very specific. And I don't remember specifically what we did, because I do know I rode that Beta 200 up at 6,000 to 8,000 feet. And I don't know if it was bad enough for me to actually go inside the carburetor. I went inside there and changed the clip. Maybe I changed the main jet. Don't recall at this time. But I don't know if your YZ250 was able to enjoy a bigger range of jetting, a range of altitude with a standard jetting. And this is where, you start learning about each different bike. I think that because it's a bigger displacement, has a little bit more power, you can get away with more. On the smaller displacement bikes, they tend to be more finicky. And so I can't give you specific numbers on the jetting or whatever to that extent, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I would have to go back. I would have to go back and watch that video so I can remember what I said. And if I said something about it, and if we did change it, and generally I can tell whether, okay, it's a main jet sensitive bike or it's a needle sensitive bike or whatever. The fuel screw makes a big difference. Just some overall tricks on jetting. We're not talking about a beta right now. Here's the thing. Play around with the air screw, and once you get more than like 3 turns out on air screw, you definitely need to go down on a pilot jet. And that's going to affect everything all the way up. And then ask yourself, is it wide open where the problem is, or is it while you're rolling the throttle on? If it's wide open, main jet. If it's when you're moving the throttle, it's needle. Change the needle position. And then maybe it's a combination of both. Like it's entirely too rich, change the main jet. Then when it's transferring, change the needle. Hopefully that helps you out. Toby, good luck. Next question. Ray Harrison. This is important. Ray Harrison says, Jimmy, what is your definition of off-road? And he sent this from outer space. I don't know where you are in outer space to actually ask me this particular question. But on Earth, off-road means you're not on-road. And for me, on-road means you have, we'll call it 100% traction or really good traction. Off-road is where you have less than 100% traction. And generally, off-road means the traction is quite variable. So that is my definition of off-road, variable traction. If you wanted to know what sector of the moon I'm riding on, you're going to have to watch the videos, and you're going to have to be one of those guys that's on the videos that can identify your location by looking at it, because he looked at the placemat you were at, and it was only unique to one restaurant and one particular place zone in the world, and he can zoom in. And he also tracked you on your social media platforms and knows where you live, and he went backwards in the whole thing, and he probably subscribes to you on OnlyFans, but I don't. So that's where we're at with that. So Ray, hopefully I answered your question. And this is also an important one before I hang up on everybody at 8:59 tonight. Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. Are you incorporating your customers' before and after moments in your Q1 sports content strategy? We've found that authentic customer results and content consistently outperforms traditional product shots by as much as 3 times. Using this approach, we recently helped a sports brand scale from $50,000 to $200,000 in monthly ad spend while lowering CPAs by 25%. A key factor, strategic product drops and limited editions with boosted 60-day LTV by 19%. And I don't even know what LTV is. LTV means live, trend, blog. Yeah, that's what it means. Anyways, curious, would it be worth exploring how this could apply to dirt bike test? Would you love to hear your thoughts? Best, Leela. So I got this. I get this kind of stuff all the time. And so I responded back, hi, Leela. It's Jimmy. I'm super interested in what you're wearing right now. And with that, I'm going to head out into the wild blue yonder and I'm going to go ride my dirt bike because that's what we all should be doing. Thank you all for joining in. And we will see you out in the trail. And let's get us a better co-host next time because this one sucks, especially me. Okay, we'll talk to you really soon. See ya. If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.